Good afternoon, everybody. It is Friday, February 13th, 2026. Welcome to this edition of Douglas Now Live. I'm Robert Preston Jr. We are live in our Douglas Now studios on West Walker Street here in Douglas. It's Friday the 13th. Excuse me, it is Friday the 13th. Y'all know that makes me a little bit nervous. What makes me even more nervous is the fact that next month we will have another Friday the 13th, because unless it's a leap year, there are 28 days in February. So the first 28 days of March correspond with the 28 days of February. So whatever day February the 13th is, March 13th will be the same day. So we have back-to-back Friday the 13th in February and in March. So don't let it affect me. I don't let it alter what I'm going to do. I just try to be a little bit careful. And I have been careful today. I think I will try to be careful for the rest of the day. A couple of stories I want to get to. First of all, yesterday afternoon, the GBI arrested Matthew Lee Sprinkle, 34 of Nichols, and charged him with 10 counts of sexual exploitation of children. In June of 2025, the GBI's special unit began an investigation into Sprinkle's online activity after receiving a cyber tip line report from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children regarding possible online possession and distribution of child sexual abuse material. This investigation led to a search of Sprinkle's home and his subsequent arrest. Coffee County Sheriff's Office, Decatur County Sheriff's Office, and the GBI's Regional Investigative Office here in Douglas assisted with the investigation. Sprinkle was booked into the Coffee County Jail, where he remains. The investigation is part of an ongoing effort by the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, which is housed within the GBI's Child Exploitation and Computer Crimes Unit, to identify those involved in the trade of child sexual abuse material. The program, created by the Department of Justice, was developed in response to the increasing number of children and teenagers using the internet, the proliferation of child sexual abuse material, and the heightened online activity by predators searching for unsupervised contact with underage victims. That's a GBI press release that I was quoting. Now, we have not posted this story on the DouglasNow.com website. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a second, but we're experiencing problems again with the website, so we're temporarily unable to post stories. So, but this is Mr. Sprinkle's booking photo. Again, he remains in the Coffee County Jail. Let me explain something to you, okay? The internet is a scary place. It's a scary place for a lot of reasons, all right? And one of the things that mortifies me, I think about it every time I go online, is clicking on the wrong thing that takes you to a website that you should not be on, and then getting flagged in something like this. Now, if you've got 34 counts here, 10 counts, you're probably not accidentally ending up on these websites, allegedly, of course. But case in point, this is how stupid I am. Let's go back 25 years maybe, and I was at work. And I had a minute, and you remember the Vin Diesel movie, Triple X? All right, there were two of them, the Triple X1 and Triple X2. Anyway, I wanted to see if the movie was playing here in Douglas, if it was playing there, but I wanted to go watch it. And I don't think about things like this. I'm dumb. And I just typed in Triple X. I mean, it was XXX. That's what it is. Well, what are you going to get when you do that? I hit enter. And as I hit enter on my computer, I thought, I'm getting fired. It hit me. You cannot search for that. Now, thankfully, because the movie was coming out that day, I didn't get a bunch of bad stuff at the beginning. And I didn't scroll down far enough to see how long it took for that stuff to pop up on my search engine. But I did find out where the movie was playing. And again, it was the Vin Diesel movie, the action movie, not anything bad. But that kind of stuff terrifies me, because you end up with something starting out in one spot and ending up over here, and you get flagged in some of these investigations. So I say that to say I am very careful. very, very careful about what I search for on the internet. And again, in a situation like this, innocent until proven guilty, but with that many counts, there would be a pattern. But still, I guess I'm saying all that to say this, that my fear of ending up somewhere on the internet I shouldn't be keeps me from searching bad stuff. All right. That and a lot of other reasons. But my search history is pretty bland. Thank goodness. All right. Thank goodness. But this kind of stuff terrifies me because people are watching. Listen, you don't think people are watching you on the internet. That's the other underlying message here in this. People are watching you, and you leave a track record. Every time you get online, you leave breadcrumbs. And individuals, whether it's law enforcement, predators, what have you, can follow those breadcrumbs, and they will take you, those breadcrumbs will take them exactly to where you have been and where you are. And people can find you and access your information, that kind of thing, whether it's a criminal investigation or whether it's something else, which is one of the things we're having trouble with on our website. We got hacked a few months ago, and it's caused us a lot of problems. But those breadcrumbs are out there, and people can pick them up and do different things with them. So, yeah, you're out here looking for stuff online and looking at bad stuff. This is not where you want to be. All right. This is not what you want to happen. But yes, Matthew Lee Sprinkle, age 34 of Nichols, arrested and charged with 10 counts of sexual exploitation of children, has been booked into the Coffee County Jail, where he remains. Whenever we have local teams vying for championships, I like to make sure that we know about those and that we are on championship watch. We have something unique today. We are on championship watch ×2. The region basketball tournament, the 5A, Region 2 5A basketball tournament, is taking place here in Coffee County at the Coffee High Gym. Both the men's and women's basketball teams have advanced to the finals. So we have 2 region championship games tonight with coffee teams involved. All right. And I'm trying to think, when that's happened, and I'm drawing a blank. I'm not going to go out here and say it has never happened, but it does not happen very often. So it's the first time it's the first time I remember this happening with coffee. It may have happened before, but it's the first time I remember it. But again, my memory only goes back so far. So the Lady Trojans, defeated Veterans last night, 61-30. I think they were up 30-15 at the half. They had a 2-1 lead most of the game. Ended up winning 61-30. They play tonight at 7:00 versus Lee County. All right, now if you want to go out there to the game, you're gonna have to pay to get in. Get into the playoffs and the region tournaments and that kind of thing, and you've got to pay to get in. But yeah, the Lady Trojans at 7:00. They won easily last night, 61-30. They are undefeated in region. I think they've only lost 2 games all year, but they're undefeated in region. So the Lady Trojans have a really good chance to bring home a region championship tonight. Now the men also championship watch. They will play Houston County tonight at 8:30. They defeated Lee last night 65-60 to advance to the region finals. Now, it's important to win a region championship on a number of levels, okay? And I always talk about this when it comes to sports, that winning a region title is important, particularly when you're down here in South Georgia. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult for us to compete with the metro area schools. It's not really a level playing field when you compare to our athletic programs here and their athletic programs up there. They have so many people. Kids are able to move from school to school, even though the GHSA has rules in place to try to prohibit that as much as possible. It still happens, and it's not, it's not the same environment down here. So when you win a region title, you are playing against your peers who similar sized schools, similar sized community demographics, similar sized or similar challenges. So, you're really stacking up well against schools with the same kind of, who are in the same kind of environment that you are, particularly when you're dealing with basketball. Basketball is very difficult. Basketball, softball, baseball, very difficult. And then, those are the major sports, but then you turn around and you look, golf, tennis, swimming. There are more resources available for athletes in those sports to play year round. You have a tremendous number of coaches who competed at a high level in those sports, and it's very easy to get that one-on-one instruction. So in those sports, it's very difficult. And we do okay in football. You're going to have a couple of South Georgia teams who are going to do really well in football. Baseball, you'll have a South Georgia team every once in a while come up and win a baseball championship. Doesn't happen in basketball very often. All right. So winning a region championship is extremely important. It's also extremely important if you're one of the coaches or on the coaching staff, because there are bonuses, I believe, for coaches who win region championships and also who win state championships. And I remember there being some discussion back in 2017 because the football team played for a state title. And that was the year we lost to Lee County in overtime. We did not win the region that year. We did not win state that year, but we went all the way to the state finals. Coaches did not get any bonuses that year. The men's basketball team did win region that year, and I don't know if we made it out of the first round or we got eliminated in the second round, but we got eliminated in the early rounds of the state tournament. But the basketball coaches, I believe, got the bonuses that year for winning a region title, even though they didn't make a very deep playoff run when the football team didn't win region, but went all the way to the state finals and didn't get any bonuses. Now, remember there being a little bit of some hurt feelings about that. So it's important for a number of reasons. But you want to win a region championship. Then you get into the playoffs and you see what happens. And we're still under the old state playoff system for the remainder of this school year. Next year, it'll be based on power rankings. And I think you're going to see our teams do a little bit better in the state playoffs when we get into that new system, as opposed to the way we play now. So you get in the state finals and whatever happens, happens, but you want to win that region championship. Now, the bad news for the Trojans, we have played Houston County twice this year. Houston County has beaten the Trojans both times, lost by 16 the first time. I believe that was at home. And then up at their place, they beat us by 21. So Houston County has had our number when we have played them in the past. Now, with that said, it's very difficult to beat a team 3 times in a row. So I would like to think that gives us some edge in tonight's game that we might not have had when we played during the regular season. We're going to keep our fingers crossed. But tip-off is at 8:30 tonight for the Trojans. So if you want to see some really good basketball and see championship caliber basketball, starts at 7 p.m. tonight at the Coffee High Gym with the girls first and then the boys second. So again, and we will have updates on this throughout the night. Championship watch. It's a big deal. And listen, those basketball teams are good. I mean, they really are. The speed at which they play, they're well coached. They got some really good players. Basketball program's in really good shape. They've done extremely well this year. And if we could take home a double tonight and win 2 region championships, that would be enormous. So good luck to the Trojans, the Lady Trojans, coaches, players, cheerleaders, everybody. We're going to be pulling for you. We're going to be paying attention tonight. It's going to be a good night of basketball here in Douglas and Coffee County. One of the things that we've talked about a little bit is the collision, if you will, between commercial interests and residential interests out on Highway 32 West. And this photograph here is a picture, facing west, looking back toward Ambrose. The truck you see over here, right here, is in the park. This sign is for Worldwide Equipment. Used to be TransPower. It's moving to this location, a couple of miles out on the right. And then you look down here, you have, houses, you have a vacant piece of property here on the other side of Worldwide. Coming back this way in the picture, you have another empty piece of property. And then, of course, as you go out, you have more vacant pieces of property, but you also have a lot of houses there. Now, since 32 has been 4-laned, that makes this a very attractive corridor for commercial interest. And if you look over here on the left, you've got some businesses over here as well. A pallet company, there's a small cargo trailer facility there as well. So what we're seeing out here is there's some property available that people would like to use for commercial interest, but you also have houses out there, and that has historically been a residential area. But now that it's 4-lane, some people are looking at it and thinking, you know what? There are a lot of trucks that travel on 32 anyway. That's a busy corridor between Douglas and I-75. And now you have pretty good access in and out. It's some attractive property for commercial interest. And going back several months, you've had a lot of rezoning requests and a lot of discussion about business and industry coming to this area. If you want, you want to go way back, over a year, you've got the proposed asphalt plant, the Scruggs Company asphalt plant, which ended up before the county commission twice, which is a little farther out. You can't see that far out on this photo, but it's out by the overhead bridge. That got voted down twice. All right. And, you've got railroad tracks on the south side of the property. So tracks there do have railroad access. And this is going to be something that's not going to go away. In the February County Commission meeting, there was more discussion of this. There were 3 rezoning requests for this particular, along this particular corridor. The first came from Johnny Brantley Jr. for 9.52 acres at 6811 Highway 32 West, from R2 residential to C commercial. He would like to put up a building on that property that allow him to work on his farm equipment. The commission discussed it. They approved the request, but contingent upon putting privacy fences on both sides of the property. Now, if you're going to rezone a piece of property to commercial, now commercial is different than something like warehouse, light industrial. Commercial is more of a warehouse type situation, not manufacturing. If the way the county's doing this now is if the property that you're asking to be rezoned adjoins a residential property, you have to put some type of visual buffer. And what they're going with primarily is an 8-foot privacy fence. So Mr. Brantley's request, there was a house on one side, then there's a vacant lot or a field, a small field on the other side, and then a church. And if you're going out 32 West, headed toward Ambrose, it's on the left out there. You may be familiar with that church. But even though there's not a house directly next to it, you have the field, then you have the church. You can see, the commercial operation from the church, and it's not a very big field. So there was actually quite a bit of discussion about this at the county commission meeting, but they ultimately decided to approve the request contingent upon Mr. Brantley putting 8-foot privacy fences on both sides of his property, on the east side and the west side. Carlton Dorminey had 2 requests before the commission. The first one was located at 3572 Highway 32 West, while the second one was at 3916 Highway 32 West. Both of them are 10-acre tracts. They were approved. One was approved with a privacy fence. That's the 3916 address, and then one approved without the privacy fence. I believe that was the 3572 tract. Now, if you go back a month ago, Mr. Dorminey brought another request before the county commission. I believe, again, along the same corridor, I believe it was warehouse light industrial. And what he wanted to do was to store cargo trailer parts on that property, build a building, store those parts, kind of this was my impression. I may be wrong on this, but sort of almost like a small distribution center for the cargo trailer industry here in Douglas and Coffee County. It was voted down, not so much because of what Mr. Dorminey wanted to do with it, but because of what warehouse light industrial opens up to. And you can do a lot of things with that zoning, including a shooting range. Probably don't want that in a neighborhood. Shooting range, liquor stores, adult entertainment facility. Now, I did not know that there was even anything on the books in Coffee County that would allow for an adult entertainment facility. I had no idea such existed. I thought our community standards were such that we did not allow that here. But apparently, if your property is zoned accordingly, you can. Now, you're not going to get a piece of property rezoned from residential or commercial or agricultural, to the requisite zoning to have, to put up an adult entertainment facility. But what would be an interesting test for the county commission would be to see if if you already had a piece of property properly zoned, if you could get the building permits and get the applications done to build an adult entertainment facility. That's the way my mind works. I mean, would we allow it? What could you do to stop it? Again, if it was near houses, yeah, you could stop it. If it was close to a church, you would be able to stop it. But just a piece of property out there that's, not really around any residential area, could you do that if you wanted to? Again, going back to our first discussion, I'm not interested in doing anything like that. But I had no idea you could even do that in Douglas and Coffee County. So I don't know. If anybody wants to try it, we'll be at the county commission and we will cover it. But you're going to see more and more of this. You're going to see more of these types of rezoning requests as this area gets more developed and more property comes available for sale. This is going to be one of those areas where commercial interests, economic interests, and residential interests are going to clash. And it's already happened, if you remember what, Premium Peanut, because Premium Peanut was built across the road from very much a residential area. And there are always concerns. I mean, you want to have jobs, you want to grow jobs, you want to grow our industrial base. But you got to be careful where you put those types of facilities. People don't want those next to their houses, next to their homes, and I don't disagree with that. But at the same time, you want to grow, you want progress. Again, jobs, money, revenue, all that stuff, you want that. So this is something that the county commission is going to continue to deal with as we move forward. And I think they handle these pretty well. All right. I think they handle these situations appropriately and with empathy and sympathy for all parties involved. And it seems to me that they do the right thing. All right. They do the right thing. But for those people who live on that corridor, you need to get ready. If you've got a piece of property beside you that is vacant, particularly if it's a sizable piece of property, you've got to think that might be something that comes your way at some point. All right. But if you want to read more about what happened at the county commission meeting, we have a story on Douglas Now that goes through everything. County bought a couple cars, dump truck. I remember the vehicles that the county bought. This is kind of interesting, and I like this. Now, some people are going to argue about this. Some people are going to argue. I don't have a problem with it. The county decided to buy. I say decided. Every year they buy a certain number of vehicles. It comes out of SPLOST funds, so it's not an unplanned expenditure, but they do bring these before the commission for discussion nonetheless. So they were going to buy 5 vehicles for the sheriff's office. These were going to be Ford Explorers, 2026 Ford Explorers. Anderson Ford submitted a bid of $223,750. Fitzgerald Ford was the actual low bid, $223,695. So a $55 difference between the high bid and the low bid, which is $11 per vehicle. Now, there are some communities that operate strictly 100% low bid gets it, don't care if it's by a penny. Coffee County has always had a policy, and I think this may be a written policy, that if the low bid is within a certain percentage, the second low bid is within a certain percentage of the low bid, and the second low bid is a local vendor, many times they will opt to go with the local vendor. All right. And I got no problem with that. If the numbers are close and you can do business with people in your community, I think you should. Now, again, I've had some people argue with me about that, particularly when you're dealing with government contracts and government expenditures. Low bid, 100%, doesn't matter. Low bid, always, regardless. I'm not like that. If it's close, go ahead and go with the local vendor, and that's what they did in this particular case. They decided to buy the vehicles from Anderson Ford, $223,750, $11 more than the bids from Fitzgerald Ford. So, and Fitzgerald Ford is kind of local. A lot of people do business over there. And, if I had my choice between buying from Fitzgerald Ford or Brandon, we buy a lot of law enforcement vehicles from Brandon. I would say, do business in Fitzgerald, keep it as close to Coffee County as possible, if you can't be in Coffee County. But in this particular case, we were able to buy from Anderson Ford. So one thing I want to mention about our site this morning, DouglasNow.com was down again. It remains down right now. Our security team is working on this. We'll get it back up. It takes a little while. It's very frustrating when this happens, right? Extremely frustrating. But such is the case. And, we had a security breach back in November, and Google keeps flagging us for malware. There is no malware on the site, right? And what is equally frustrating is that when you're dealing with Google, Apple, Meta, Amazon, companies like that, these are some of the biggest companies in the world. Not only the biggest companies, but the biggest companies the world has ever known, with gazillions of employees spread out all across the globe, and you can't talk to anyone. No one will talk to you. You have to fill out online stuff, and people somewhere look at it, and maybe they get back to you. It's incredibly frustrating. So when Google flags us, the process that we have to go through to get to someone, and then we have other security folks working on it. Everybody has to get together and collaborate. Anyway, it's a nightmare. So the site is down right now. It will be back up. We are continuing to investigate why it goes down, all right, and what we can do to keep it from happening. The silver lining, and they say there's a silver lining in everything. The silver lining here is that websites that don't get any traffic don't get hacked. So those who are looking to do bad stuff on the internet are looking to infect websites that have a lot of traffic, and ours does. We have a tremendous amount of traffic, and I would like to thank each one of you for following us and making that happen, because you read what we write, you're interested in what we write, and you follow what we do here. So we are working. It's aggravating. And you go back a couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago, we had some problems on our Facebook page, and it's terribly frustrating when this stuff happens. But we're working as hard as we can to try to figure out what it is that is continuing to cause us to get flagged. But the website's safe. The site's fine. Once it gets back up, we'll get back to posting stories. I'm behind on stories I need to post. We got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of sports stories in addition to what we've reported on here. We've got a lot more happening that we need to get out there. So I need the site to get back up, and I promise you that you are no more frustrated than I am and that our team is. Let's take a look at our tower cam. We have a daylight shot. Finally, it's been a while. It's been a while since we were here during the day, but it is an absolutely beautiful day. I was talking to Heather about this earlier. When you get into September, it's still 6,000 degrees and feels like the sun is sitting right here on your shoulder, right? Right. But there's a little tinge, maybe in the mornings, and you can occasionally detect it, through mid-September in the afternoons, that something feels just a little different. Just a little different. Feel a little bit, fall's not here, but it's coming. The relief isn't here yet, but it's on the way. It won't be long. And that's the way the last couple of days have felt. Now, it's been cold in the mornings. It's been cold at night. But when the temperature warms up, when it gets into the 70s, like it did yesterday and like it is right now, you feel a little bit of spring, right? It's not there yet. It's not here. But, spring, I can feel you. It's not long. It's not long. We're already going to the baseball field, college, high school. You got South Georgia State College softball going on. College softball's playing. Tennis, golf will be playing soon. These spring sports are really fixing to be in full swing, and we're still going to have some iffy weather for the next few weeks. But again, once we get into March, the relief is here. All right, it's not long. The time will be changing, and things will be back the way that the good Lord intended. Some spring weather and long afternoons. That's the way it should be. So it's not there yet, but it's close. So got a busy weekend with sports again, starting tonight, going through the weekend. We're going to do our best to get here and cover everything as much as we possibly can. But again, we're limited a little bit still with some security challenges on our website, but we're going to get those fixed. And hopefully we will put those behind us. But thank you guys for hanging in there with us. We appreciate it. Until then, we're going to use Facebook. So pay attention here to our social media page, and we will keep you updated as best as we can here. So won't be long. We can put a little bit of this Friday the 13th behind us and hopefully have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Everybody stay safe, and we'll be back next week unless there is breaking news. If something happens and we need to have a discussion between now and then, we will. Remember, kids are out of school. They were out yesterday and today. They're going to be out Monday as well. So when you're out and about, riding around, pay attention. Kids are out playing, and with the weather the way it is, they're most definitely going to be outside enjoying the foreshadowing of spring. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next time.